after about like, okay, no, so this was in April. This was like in March, maybe. Maybe it was in March. Yeah, it was like middle March, probably March break. And then he, yeah, so we went on Instagram, and then a week after March break, I think he followed me, and I was like, ah! And I saw a special. Grace, you don't have anything. At that point, he gave me his last name. So, like, I think he himself took in, like, she's probably gonna find me on Facebook. But, like, you know, whatever. So, I found him on Facebook. And I know at one point, even he told me, he's like, oh, I already know that you have my Facebook. Like, I already know that I gave my last name. So, obviously, you went to go find my Facebook. But, like, it was never, I never admitted to it. But, like, you know how when you're dating somebody, and then on Instagram, you put it in your little bio, you put, like, his name, like, you put, like, a lock or whatever. So, I was like, so how come you don't have a lock in your bio if we're dating? So, you don't want girls to know that you're dating somebody? I was so cheesed. I'm like, so why don't you put a lock in your bio? Where's my name at in your bio? Like, I was just cheesed. And I think at one point, he put a lock in his bio. So, I was like, official. But I didn't put one in my bio because I was like, I knew if I put one, people would ask questions. And since I don't have everything about him, I couldn't answer those questions. So bear in mind, we've been dating from December. It is now March, okay? Haven't Skyped. Haven't had a phone call. Barely heard his voice on Snapchat. It was honestly just minimal, right? I think at one point he gave me his number for iMessage. And he's like, emergency, just call me. Mousy. When I got that number, fam, j'ai appelé le même soir. I called him that night. I was there like, he didn't answer his phone even if I called him, so whatever. But I texted him on iMessage sometimes. And no. Sometimes I'd send him voice notes, and sometimes, if God permitted, he'd answer voice notes as well. So like that happened sometimes. Fast forward to the actual juicy part. This is all backstory. You know, I've dated this guy, Adonai, for bare months now. Dating for bare months now. He lives in England. Haven't Skyped him. Don't have his. I had to really wait like 4 months for his last name. Okay, didn't have him on Facebook. His Instagram, he added me like a month before all the things went down. Snap, like it was honestly just minimal all the time. When he'd snap me, he would snap the lamp and be like, "Hey, do you want to fight? Like we'll fight today, whatever." I was like, "He's fine. He's buff. He's a buff thing. So like, it's not an issue." So, now comes a time where everything just gets sticky, icky. So I'm on Instagram one day. He posted a picture. I liked it, right? And bear in mind, I wouldn't comment on his pictures because, like, I mean, I kind of already knew if I did, he'd be like, "Oh no!" Like, he never said I was a secret, but the fact that he didn't give me everything made me think I was. He posted a picture. I liked it. I go back on the picture a little later just because I don't know what like possessed me, but I went on it. And I saw this girl. We'll call her Karaba. Alright, so Karaba commented on the picture and she posted some next emojis. I think it was like the fire emoji, the heart eyes emoji, and something else. And I was like, today's the day that something will happen. So I go on her page and it was not private. Thank you, Jesus. And then I go on some of her pictures. I go on her pictures. You know, he hasn't commented. But there was that one picture he low-key discreetly commented. And I was like, caught you. So I caught him in the act. But I don't think I confronted him. Or no, I did. And I was like, so how come you're commenting on Kahaba's picture? What's this about? And he's like, oh, well, she commented on mine first. So I thought it'd be nice. I wouldn't. Okay. Bear in mind, she lives in England. So I'm like, oh. All right. So I'm like, you know what? At this point in time, I'm pretty sure I already suspected him of being stupid. So I was like, you know what? Fudge this guy. We're done. But I was me being petty. Anyone who knows me knows I'm petty. So I'm like, I have to prove a point. So I'm going to let you think that we're still okay. But meanwhile, we're done. So I was talking to another guy already who, if you're watching this, you know, like, you know. But anyway, yeah, so I was talking to this other guy from England too. Don't even ask me how this happens. Anytime I talk to, I feel like lately I'll talk to, even now, but like last year I talked to somebody Find out he's from England. What? Like, I don't know why God's giving me message. I don't know what it is, but it's too much for me. But anyways, so yeah. Talking to this other guy, whatever. So at this point, I added her on Snapchat, right? And she was like, oh, do I know you? I know that I remember going in her friends list, and she was following my friend Zach. So I was like, why are you don't even know Zach? Why are you following Zach? So when she asked me, do I know you? I'm like, no, but you follow my friend. And then, which, like, it's not a lie, you do. She's like, oh, okay, where are you from? And then some next one, she's like, oh, you're so pretty. And I was like, So then, I remember at some point, she put her Twitter in her bio. Big mistake. So, she put it in her Twitter, and I think it was morning, and I go on Twitter, and I just put her Twitter name in my phone. Kakaba's Twitter pops up. I click on it. Who pops up in the banner? You guys already know who popped up. In the banner, the cover photo, it's Kakaba's ugly, dirty face, and on top is Adonai's. They're together in this picture in public, doing couple picture. I was like, hell nah. This is where it ends tonight. So I go on Snapchat and I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I think at this point, she knew that not even at this point, the thing is, you'll find out later on, but she asked me, who are you? Again. And I was like, So I go on my story, and I put in my story, I'm like, I put a countdown, and then I put Bristol, and then I put hearts, and I'm like, can't wait. Obviously, was I even planning to go to Bristol? No, I wasn't. This is all to antagonize her, so done no shots for me. So then she's like, who are you again? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm my. And then she's like, no, you're not. Oh, these ones. And then after okay, you know what? I'm about to just pop in him because he's about to be busted. That's it. So I tell him, I'm like, yeah, so who's Kahaba? You told me she was just your friend, but now I'm seeing that this is not. And I had screenshots. I put screenshots on Twitter. I'm like, who's this? Who's, like, what is going on? He's like, oh, why would you even? What? Shut up! Your mouth is dirty. Who is she? And then he's like, oh, you know, like, it was a mistake. You know how boys get caught and start saying, oh, it was a mistake. It wasn't meant to escalate to that point. Bye. So he's like, oh, yeah, I wasn't meant to escalate to that point. You know, it was a mistake. Or this, that, and the third. And that, you know, and then I told her, I'm like, yeah, so I'm talking to her on Snapchat, and she's not confirming your story. Why would you add her on Snapchat? You're just making stuff worse. I'm like, you didn't want to get caught, huh? Too late. So I'm on Snap with her. We're talking, whatever. And she's like, oh, yeah, like, you ain't even his girl. He doesn't even like you. He told me that you're obsessed with him. And I'm like, oh, yeah? So at this point, I told my sister, I'm like, nah, this, and that. And she's sitting there like, well, I mean, hey, he lives in England, what do you expect? So all that happened, right? And then so then after, I was like, okay, well, this is ridiculous. Like, this is gonna end tonight. So I go on Twitter, and I think at this point I favorited one of her tweets, and then she no, slipped his name, lol. Okay, so Adonai told me, like, you know, like, it's, you know, like, I'm done with her, it was a mistake, and blah, blah, blah. So then I'm just like, okay, whatever. So I go on Twitter, and she's tweeting something, and I favorited it. And then me, on my Twitter page, I'm subtweeting the heck out of this girl. And she's tweeting me, like, she's mentioning me in my tweets. She's like, no, all these ones. And then, yeah, so then, normally, I do not blame the girl. If you're dating a guy, even if we're dating, if you're dating a guy and another girl's involved, you shouldn't be blaming her for your boyfriend's mistake. That's not how it goes, you know what I mean? It's your boyfriend's fault. He knew he had you and he went somewhere else. Except, And here's where it gets foo-foo. So I go on a Twitter page and I'm scrolling. About 2 months before I even found out about her, she's tweeting, oh, this girl's tweeting about my man. She's gonna be tweeting about my man. Oh, this girl, she keeps tweeting my boy. No. I was like, hold on. So you knew I existed. You knew we were together. Yet, what? So I was like, hell no. So I go to DMs. I'm like, so we, in the DMs, it was, I think I still have a DMs, actually. I'll give you a little snippet. Actually, no, I won't, because those DMs were fire. Like, they were just too, like, they were just too much. But basically, as you can probably imagine, we were arguing in the DMs. And she's like, you know what? Or no, I think I said, I'm like, you know what? This all talks. What's your FaceTime? I'm finna call you. Done, no. So then she gives me her FaceTime. I pick up. I'm like, hello? And she's like, hello? But she sounded 12. She's all big up on Ting, but she answers, hello. I was like, auntie, why are you whispering? Why are you sounding like you're 12? Get your sister off the phone. Give the phone to your older sister. Why are you, who? What? And then I'm like, is this Kahaba? Yeah, it's me. I was like, what the hell? So then she's telling me, okay, so tell me how you and him are talking. I told her from December. No. She's like, yeah, like, I knew about you from March. And I'm like, at this point, I'm on the phone like, so you knew about me from time, but you were talking to him. Okay. So at that point, I started blaming her too. I'm like, how can you, it's both of y'all fault. Y'all both ugly as hell. So how can you know this guaning and you're still involved with the nigga? Like, where did you do that at? Where they do that at? What the hell? So I'm like, you know, whatever. At this point, I wasn't that angry because, like I said, I was talking to another guy. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not that cheese or whatever. So then we're talking. And at some point, she starts bawling. Oh, this always happens to me. I never get the guy. I was like, and genuinely, I felt bad. Like, she was crying and I was like, I felt bad, you know, I was trying to cheer her up. Because, like, at this point, I didn't care about him anymore. So I was like, you know what? Like, it's okay. Like, he's not worth it. He's useless. He's a goat. And we were, like, dissing him, whatever. And she's like, yeah, like, this happened. And I was like, wow. Telling me how, yeah, he told her that, like, I was nobody. And I was like, low-key, I was hurt. I was like, oh, I'm nobody. Okay, well, damn, okay. But then, like, you know, it was whatever. So we're like, you know what? We're gonna ambush him. So at this point in time, we were tag teaming. Like, you know what? F him. We don't need him. Girl power. Boom. That lasted 2 seconds. So, you know, we were on his Instagram, blasting Instagram. Like, yeah, wow, you're so hot. On his Instagram, both of us together, like, blasting him. We're like, oh, I can't even to wake up in the morning. And then she's like, yo, I'm done with him. I'm done with him. I've been done with him. I even told her, I'm like, I'm talking to another guy. I told her, like, I'm talking to this guy from England too. Like, he's really fun. He's really nice. He's really sweet. Like, he's amazing to me. Whatever, right? And she's like, yeah, what? So good. I was like, whatever. So then, come next morning, and he's awake now. He's awake. And he's in my text like, what the why are you doing this? And blah, blah, blah. I told you that, like, you know, I wanted you, not her. Why are you, you know? And I was like, well, babes, like, I was talking to her all night and you've got some planning to do. So, after all this time, this is the first time that I've spoken to him over the phone. After, like, what? 5 months, maybe? Babes, what? So, she's like, you know what? She told me, she's talking to me. And after talking to him, you know, I guess he talked to her, whatever. And then she's like, oh, Grace, like, if we ask him and he picks me, would you give us your blessing? I was like, what? I'm like, what happened to, we don't need him? What happened to, he's a cheater. Why would you go to him? What happened to all that? Why are you now asking for my blessing? I was like, you know what? I don't really care. I don't want him. So take me if you want to. I don't give a fuck. So then she's like, okay, thanks. I was like, yeah, cheers. And then, so she's like, okay, you call him, put me on mute, and we'll see what he says. Big mistake on her part. So she is on Skype. I muted her on Skype. Or no, I put the volume off on Skype and she can hear everything that's going on. So I call him and I'm like, so like what's popping? Like what's this biscuit? Guys, his voice was so nice. Wow. We had a nice voice. Je regrette. Je regrette. He had a nice voice, man. But like whatever, he's still a cheater. He's the liar. He's got. So she's like, you know that it was a mistake and blah blah blah, and I didn't mean to. Blah, blah. And he's basically dissing her, and we're laughing. Okay, I feel like I was laughing too, but like it wasn't nice, Grace. Like you shouldn't have laughed at her. But like he's saying how she's a mistake and how like she meant nothing and this and that, and how like why would he even go for her and just a bunch of he was just dissing her, and she messages me. And then he's like, you know what? You deserve him. I don't even want him no more. And she dipped. And then I was like, okay, bye. And then we would talk. Me and Adonai talked for like 4 days. Like he was apologizing, or like, I love you, and this and that, and come England, and we'll do this, and blah blah blah. And I was like, at this point, like when he was saying this, I was like talking to the next guy, and I was like, yeah. So bye. So yeah, and then we stopped talking, and then and then it was just quick like that. And then me and her, thing is, we could have been good friends, but she was mad because in the end we ended up asking him if you could pick one, me or her. He said me when she was on the phone, and she got upset. She did. I didn't even want him. You could have been friends. If you're watching this, you could have been friends, but you decided to be foo and just bitter. But whatever. Yeah. So that's my story of just a unbelievably dumb love triangle. And I have so many stories to come. It's not even funny. Like I have a dumb life, but I've been blessed with a very interesting life. So comment, subscribe, do whatever, laugh at my face. I don't care, girl, because he was fine. Okay. But yeah. So, and if you end up finding out who this is about, then well, oops. Whatever. Anyways, yeah. So that was it. Peace out, guys.
So I've taken in that I actually forgot a lot of what happened at the end of the whole situation. So basically, he wasn't a catfish as you would normally think a catfish is supposed to be, but in my eyes, he was a catfish in the sense where he was pretending to be, or he was just pretending point blank. And also I talked to her once after. Well, she slid in my DMs to apologize. It ended up in a bigger fight, so it was just n'importe quoi. I talked to him not even too long ago. Actually, I talked to him about like I think 2-3 months ago. That also ended in a fight, I think, or not in a fight, but it just ended in but yeah. So yeah, that's what happened that I forgot to mention.